Minds Unchained starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we are. What's up?
Nothing, Rev. How you doing today?
I'm good.
Every time we're in the studio, it's raining outside.
Right? Something's going on. But I've been really excited about today. Because like I always tell people, I'm a vibe person.
Oh, yeah.
I vibe with somebody. If I feel somebody, I like to be around them and like to bring them up and do the things that we do. And today we have in studio with us we got Scott and we got Don sitting in studio with us today.
What's the name of your show? Our fellow
What's the name of your show, Don?
Oh, it's called Harsh Reailty. It's on the Mixed Radio Network. We do a little show where we bring in people with viewpoints that are different than ours and just kind of let them hack it out. We bring in people that are from different communities and backgrounds and say, okay, so what's going on? I mean, why do we have all this turmoil and stuff in America today? So it's just a way for everybody to sit down at the table and see each other eye to eye and get off all that social media. Where you're kind of a blank face.
Yeah, for a minute. And it's the same thing. That's why when I went on their show, and I came back and I told you, I said I had a good time.
Oh, yeah.
I said they're us.
Right.
Except they're white.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much.
But we're all about the same age,
We're all about the same age and the whole nine. But what I'm saying is just
wait a minute. Why am I the only person that don't have hair?
Oh, wait a second.
But you can grow a beard, dude. You know how hard it is for me to grow a beard? I can't grow a beard. I look like a weird Muppet character if I try to grow a beard.
Well, hold on one second. I got to tell the licorice part because what Don just said, nobody heard what you just said because of the licorice.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So I went on their show and they break out this bag of licorice that I ain't never seen before in my life. Open it up. Take a few pieces. I'm sitting there going, this is rich people licorice. Mm-hmm. This ain't Twizzler.
Or Red Vines.
Or Red Vines. This is the good stuff. They brought out the good stuff when I was over there. So I decided to, give my guests some licorice, and I brought in the Twizzlers. So Don's over there. Well, everybody. Even our producer is back here. Everybody's eating Twizzlers. So if you don't understand what somebody is saying,
it's because we're eating licorice.
Right.
Talking with our mouths full. We're being rebellious.
Right. But I wanted to bring these two guys in just to sit down with them because just like Don just said, to get a different perspective, get something different. Like we said, when we started this thing, we said that we weren't going to be like the normal everyday people who just bring people in, who believe in what they believe, who see what they see, who think of what they think.
Right.
We weren't going to do that.
That's boring.
That's boring. So that's why these guys in. Plus, like I said, I vibed with them the whole time I was there. We had a good time. I enjoy being on you guys' show. I enjoy hanging out with you. Scott basically is the man that's behind the mic and do all that stuff and put everything together. But you have a couple more shows on too, right?
Oh, yeah, we do. We actually have another show called Queen and the Cop that we do.
Okay.
And, but hey, this is about you guys. We're on your show. I'm not.
No, this isn't just about us because we can do this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure if you guys come on and you guys have a good time, just like I had a good time.
Yeah.
I like to pay things back. You do good to me, I'm going to turn around and do good to you. I don't care what you look like, what you think, how you feel. But you do me good, I'm going to turn around and do you good.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, then I'm going to invite you over to dinner with your wife, and then just so I can get a free meal out of you sometime in the future.
That sounds like a deal to me.
And some rich people.
Maybe I'll bring some barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
You see how I insinuated myself into it. I'm like, free meal? I got to get in on this. I'll bring barbecue.
Right.
So we had a nice drive out. It's always kind of weird if you think about it. People don't know each other, and then you just have something that you're going to do. You have some commonality, and then literally I'm at your house meeting your wife and your son, and we get in a car together and we travel for 45 minutes, and then we find out that you drive by this spot every day. And there's so much connection, right, that you don't even realize because people aren't out. See, they're behind their computers and they're doing stuff behind a keyboard. And I think life is more amazing if you actually get out and experience it. And you're like, holy cow, the guy lives right by me, like half a mile away.
I was driving at a holiday, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I'm driving by and I look over. There Scott is standing outside the building. I cruise over. Talk to him for a little bit. Talk to him for a little bit.
But I mean, to show how weird this is, you literally, so we were introduced from a common friend, Xavier, who said, you got to meet this guy.
Xavier's been doing good.
Xavier knows everybody.
Right?
Yeah. And so Xavier and I worked with each other for a long time in politics. Well, 10 years probably, which is about how old he is.
Right.
Without the beard.
But here's like, okay, so then we make these arrangements. And then before, you know what? I'm like, okay, I'll come pick you up. And then we realized that you live a half mile from me. And then on the way to the studio, you realize that you're drive by our studio, his studio,
I work
every
right up
day.
the street.
Every day.
Literally right up the street.
Yeah, it was amazing. I like those kind of coincidences.
Well, it's like, this is what, for all you young people out there that's listening, this is what it used to be like when people actually talked to each other face to face.
Right.
And it wasn't always just texting and stuff like that. Back in the day when you used to have to remember phone numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this is how it used to be when people would sit down and break bread and talk to each other, it's basically becoming a lost art because it's just become so impersonal nowadays that we don't talk to each other.
Right.
We don't come. We seldom go over each other's houses to eat and sit and talk. And me with Rev always complain about my dog. Argos is terrible.
That dog's bad.
I'm telling you,
That was bad.
But it's good to have you guys on, and it's good. If you surround yourself with everybody that thinks like you, that shows insecurity.
Right.
There's if you're making a song. If everybody sounds alike, then the song doesn't go well. But when you have people with the altos and sopranos and stuff like that, and it blends and it comes together, that's when it's beautiful.
That's right.
Exactly. And especially when you get Scott's high tenor in there.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I'm muffling it down right now.
It's funny that Scott's the only one here with a true radio voice.
Right, exactly. Because I know I don't have one.
Oh, I don't have one.
My wife always tells me that,
It's okay.
No, that's not going to work.
My wife tells me I have a radio voice.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, my wife tells me I have a face for radio.
Right.
My dad used to always tell me, you better learn to be a good speaker because you ain't much to look at.
See,
I tell you what, we're gonna be all right. We each got somebody that love us, so that's all I care about.
Right, absolutely.
At the end of the day, but I was gonna one of the reasons why I kind of wanted you on was because you said something that kind of opened up a door when we was talking about. You said white people's guilt. Mm-hmm. And when we was talking about that, and you said that, and you kind of went into it a little bit, and as you was talking, I was sitting there going, I get it. It took me to sit there with Don and listen to Don tell me about white people guilt to understand, because I've been trying to figure out this Candace Owens thing.
Right.
I've been it's been killing me because I can't look. I'm not saying nothing about her hustle. The hustle she got.
That's her hustle. That's how she make her money.
If you can get white people that guilty to send you money, but I'm sitting there going, there's got to be something on the other end of this thing that's making this thing happen. Because I say the same thing she do. Right. Democrats ain't got nothing to do but keep us exactly pinned down where we at. But the only thing I don't do is I don't use my blackness to make the point. And then you said that black people guilt.
Right.
I mean, white people's guilt.
Right.
And I said, okay.
But a part of what happens is when you have a whole group of society that says, well, we have people that are downtrodden, right?
Right.
And in order to fix that, we need to empower them so that nobody can say anything bad about this group of people. And then we make it a social norm. And we do it with one of the three most powerful emotions in human history, right? So what the three most powerful emotions are: first, love; second, fear; third, shame. Mm-hmm. Right? So you use shame against people and you say, we're going to shame you if you talk out or speak out against this group of people because we're trying to empower them. And so what happens is the rest of the people start feeling guilt and shame, and they do, and especially over a long period of time, especially a generation. If you can do this for a generation, you can change a lot about society. And so now what happens is we have one group that's really, really over-empowered because if you think about it, they're just the same as the other group, and the other group that has a lot of shame and doesn't want to say anything. So much so that we had a gay activist from Minneapolis on, and I made this little post about Ilhan Omar, and he came immediately to her defense. And it took me a while to think about it, but I thought, you know what? I don't understand how this gay drag queen show promoting Northeast Minneapolis 25-year-old can outright support Ilhan Omar, and then defend her, because Ilhan Omar is a part of the most conservative group of people on the planet, right? Mm-hmm. So collectively, Islam is very conservative. And Islam admits to being collectively very conservative. So here are all these parts of Ilhan Omar and her life and her religion and how she was taught and what she believes and how she was raised. And here's a guy on the other side that hates all of those things collectively.
Okay.
But will not only not say anything bad about her, but will jump out to her defense. And why is that? Why does he do that? Why? Because he doesn't like the guilt. He doesn't like the guilt that he feels as being a white person. So his gayness goes away. All the other attributes of this man go away. And he falls back to the very common essence of the fact that he's a white man in Minneapolis, and his ideology and his culture does not allow him to speak out against somebody who is diametrically opposed to him in almost every way, shape, and form, because she's a minority.
I think part of that is, and I find myself doing this, he's a minority as well, because he's a gay man. And when you're gay, you're not part of, people don't consider you part of the mainstream. And it's like, if you're picking on one minority, another minority will come to their defense. Like I have this all the, it's I don't have any guilt or anything like that. I'm black, and I'm not Catholic.
I don't think they could have guessed that.
Yeah. So and I find myself having to defend other minorities all the time. But it's when you sit there and think and you watch what they're saying about people, I can empathize, because you were saying the same damn thing about me 30, 40 years ago, when it was in fashion. It was okay to say bad things about black people and call them names and stuff like that. So right now, I got into this discussion with this guy on Facebook. Well, you can't put all of society's ills, you can't lay them at the feet of the illegal aliens, because what part do we have to play with what's going on in our society? These are people that are trying to live better lives for their kids, better lives for themselves, and better lives for their family. And I can empathize with that. And, I find myself defending them. It's almost like a reflex action.
Well, no, I understand that. But let's go back. Let's kind of go a little bit back to the topic. I know you brought up, what's her name, but I don't want to talk about her.
Right.
You mean the diva?
And we brought up immigrants. I don't want to talk about them either. I just want to talk about the point where we need to get to where we can see each other as somewhat the same. Like, I'm your brother. I'm Scott's brother. We can hang out like this.
Yep.
I can come over your house and have a drink. You can come over my house and have a drink,
right,
without having guilt. That is what I'm saying is it's time for us to start saying, look, I know what happened. You know what happened.
Right.
We all need to start saying we realize that.
Right.
I think what a huge part of the problem is, we don't want to address it, and we don't want to say it happened. I went to a plantation when I went down to South Carolina. You wouldn't even known they had slaves there. And I'm not joking when I say that, because they whitewashed it to no end.
Right.
So I believe that's part of some of the guilt. So
But that's not the norm, though. I mean, you don't actually think that all plantations around the South that exist actually don't recognize their contributions.
No. I'm not saying
slavery.
all of them. I'm not saying. I was using that example. I'm using that example to say, how do we get to the point to where a Candace Owens can't get rich because she's using your guilt, your feelings, your love to get rich off of that, because she knows only thing I have to do is keep telling a white person that you feel everything is all right. You're good. Don, you are good. Scotty, you're good.
Well, we are.
Hey, give me $10.
You know what, Rev? I don't think that will never happen in the history of mankind, because it's never happened in the 10,000 years of written history that we can point to. You know, human nature never changes.
Right.
It's always the same. And so we're dealing with these issues of white guilt because this is what America has been focused on since 1865 to the present. And there's been a lot of turmoil and a lot of things that have happened, and we've kind of moved openly through this process. But you have to put it all in context. And so when you're sitting in America, I don't think people always understand that the rest of the world is not like us. We are still, to this day, the most diverse country on the planet. And we only represent, I think it's 5% of the total world's population. I mean, think about that for a second. So in terms of diversity, see, people think that Africa is diverse, or Central America is diverse, or Norway is diverse. Sweden is like living in the Hamptons, right? It's so not diverse that
Right.
you're just like that's
Sort
why
of stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, that's
You
why
ain't from around here.
they always say that Sweden and Finland rank as like the most happiest places on earth. I'm like, yeah, it's like polling people that live in the Hamptons.
Why are you sitting
right?
there? Pass the Twizzlers to it.
Oh, I know. I'm sitting there hogging them all.
But
So it doesn't, to me, in my reading of human history, this isn't anything that will change, because those kind of underlying features of humanity will exist in all of us, regardless of race, creed, social status, whatever. In other words, there are rich, very powerful, evil black people. There are very poor, generous, kind, and saintly white people.
Yeah.
There are, to me, the worst person on the planet is the bum sleeping next to another bum that steals the last $5 from that bum.
Right.
To me, that's the worst human being on the planet.
Right.
Right? So, but it doesn't matter what color they are.
Right.
I didn't say one guy is a black bum and one guy is a white bum. It doesn't matter. I think what people need to realize is that all of us collectively are actually the same.
Right.
We suffer the same motivations and temptations to be evil, to be unkind, as everybody else, because at the end of the day, humans aren't really designed to be social creatures. And so this is This is a misperception, I think.
What did he just say?
I think humanity is actually not designed to be social. And we can go back through a lot of years of history and kind of point to how that evolution has come like full circle to America.
But we need each other.
No, we actually don't. So think about, let's pick on the Frankish tribes that came out of northern Germany before Caesar built the...
But if we don't need each other, where am I supposed to get my love from?
Well, the people that are closest to you. Right?
Well, and the safety in numbers.
But you're not talking about the numbers. See, there's a difference between what we're talking about, like on social media and all our friends,
right,
so to speak, and then the difference of the people that you get to talk to and spend time with, and you have really those relationships with.
Right.
So in a clan, which is how most humans were 10,000 years ago, and moving forward, they're just clans of people that lived in a variety of areas. They weren't social. They were social in their clan, but even within their clans, they weren't really social. They developed over time sets of rules and norms and different habits. Culture is really just the habits that some people had that lasted for generations, right? Like, whatever it is. So, But imagine these clans of people, though, and inside that clan, there's a family structure or a kind of family structure, or maybe they don't pay attention to family and genealogy. Maybe it doesn't matter who the uncle is because there's no such structure, right? But they have a core group of people that they're interacting with, and then the clan itself becomes kind of the protective shell around their little amoeba. But as they're sitting there or wandering, looking for food, spending time trying to survive, because that's what humans did all the way up until really America. If they came across somebody that wasn't in their clan,
right, it's perceived as an enemy.
Exactly, it was fear, right? So if you think about it, see, racism used to be defined as nothing more than the recognition of a race different than yours. Racism didn't used to have a negative connotation to it. And so throughout human history, there's a gene. All of us have 17% genetic human information that passes down from human to human to human.
Right.
And then you also get all of these other things which are family-related genes, right? Your eyes and your habits and your
Learn something new today, but
your bald head.
Yeah, your bald hair and whatever, right? All your markers. But inside that 17% are all these markers of fight or flight, swimming, all of the basic foundations of human history. And they've come just from gene to gene and passed down. Why? Because they're the strongest ones.
Right.
They're the most valuable ones. These are the genes that pass down generationally because these are the genes that help humans as an animal survive.
Right, like people like myself who have problems with their weight. That was a blessing during times where famine.
Absolutely. So, or like my wife gets angry about things and has these little personality quirks. And I said, you know what? In your ancestry somewhere, those were markers that kept your ancestors alive.
Right.
And however they were used 6,000 years ago, whatever, doesn't matter. So I want people to think about race in that context for a second, that we have this clan of people and they're by themselves and they're scattered all over the world. You know, we didn't have bicycles and cars and stuff. You didn't just, walk around blindly and hope to run into people. So over generations and generations and generations, these clans literally were isolated amongst themselves, right? Where they developed their own cultures and their own habits,
right,
all over the world. And when they did start to figure out how to move, and then there was other people on the earth, and man started exploring out, there's times where they ran across people they didn't know. And so the fear was a life-threatening fear of people that looked different than you. It's as core in the human gene as anything I can think of.
True.
Okay.
Well, one thing I see is, though, some cultures embraced the stranger.
There we go.
Whereas others conquered strangers.
I want you to name a culture that embraced the stranger.
You mean like the Native Americans that didn't kill every pilgrim that came off the boat?
No, but there's two different dynamics. So the natives that came when the pilgrims came off the boat, the first thing was fear.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like, how in the heck did you get here?
Why do you look like that?
Right, and why do you look like that? So it doesn't mean that groups or clans 10,000 years ago that ran into each other killed each other. See, that's in the modern
Sometimes they were absorbed into the clan.
Right, absolutely. But the fear was there. So there was a fear on both sides, the person coming in and the clan that sees the guy wandering through the woods and goes...
But we're always going to fear something that we don't know.
Well, but we all know each other now.
Well, we all know each other, but when I first saw Scott, I was fearful of Scott.
No, you weren't. Well, okay. So let me. I want to kind of.
Scott's kind of buff over there.
Right?
I'm just
You got all those muscles under that vest.
No,
I'd be scared too.
My summer body never came in.
Did
so,
they come in?
Just getting ready for winter, bulking up.
You guys are gonna hate this, but I kind of want to continue down just to finish this out.
Yeah, sure.
So if you follow all of this, right? If you look at every other country on the globe prior to the founding of America, so let's say 1800, they are all not racially diverse.
No, they weren't.
Never were. The only diversity came from when the white Europeans wanted to come into Central America and like find gold and silver, but it wasn't diversity like anybody wanted to be there. They wanted to be there for gold. They didn't really care about the Taínos people or the Mayans or the Incans or anybody. Same thing with the white Europeans that came to America, and they had to deal with the native people, and there was a friendly relationship there. I'm sure. And because both sides didn't want to they were learning who these other people were. And, of course, the white Europeans, the Pilgrims, had to say, well, they're here, so we're not, so we need to figure out how to live with them and to learn the land, and they can help us. And the Indians, I'm sure, were thinking the same thing. Well, these people seem more advanced than us because we don't have boats that can sail across an ocean. They've never seen such a thing, right? The Native Americans. But let's not forget something, though. The proof that the core of humanity, desire for land and resources and power, has existed throughout all time. And the proof is in the fact that Indians, long before European settlement, were fighting and killing each other for land and for resources and for power.
Same thing in Africa.
Right. And the reason why is because you want your core clan to survive and to be dominant, powerful. That's, again, a core human genetic. So when Native Americans make this case, it always disturbs me because I like to think that, you know what, I think the Native Americans have it better than any other conquered people on the face of the planet. Because before that, you would just get conquered, and that was it. You'd either assimilate or they'd just kill you all. And what we did was we said, well, that's kind of unfair. And we made treaties, and we made them sovereign governments.
Made treaties, broke treaties.
But
tried to kill them with smallpox.
But to be fair, right? Let's be fair on this, though. You did kind of almost try to wipe them out. The white man did, right? But am I right?
Well,
with the blanket,
it kind of depends. I mean, the whole blanket thing is
right.
You know,
right.
There's a lot of historical references.
What I'm saying is, I'm riding with you. I understand what you're saying. So when we're washing over certain things, we got to add certain things in there also, right? Okay.
But these are kind of contingencies that exist regardless of the population. So it doesn't matter if it's a European and the Indian or the Chinese and the Japanese.
That's right.
You know, there's countries all over and races all over this globe that have tried to manipulate themselves and conquer other people for power, land, resources. Right? And why? So my clan can survive above your clan.
So that almost makes America like a clan then.
It is. And in fact, my point of this is, I think if you look at it, you know, when you get to the 1800 and all of a sudden you have all this migration from all over the world, and it's mostly white Europeans. And then you get in the 1900s and it starts to diversify. Mm-hmm. So you have the African population that's brought here. The numbers are about 300,000 Africans that were shipped here over about a 300-year period. So both.
But there are millions that never made it.
Well, no, there's millions that actually went other places. So there's about
it's like my wife people. When I went down to South Carolina, that was one of the reasons I took the pilgrimage. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Down there,
right,
to find out that history. Because see, that's one of the things that even in African American household, we don't carry that history throughout. Sit down and talk to our kids about that.
Right.
That's why it's beginning to shrink with us and the way things were. And the sad part about it is, where are you from?
Chicago.
No, where's your ancestry?
Chicago.
Chicago.
Scott, where are you from?
I'm Dutch, German, Irish.
I have no idea.
You don't?
No clue.
Really?
No.
Oh,
I haven't done my 23andMe yet.
Oh.
I think he's afraid.
do 23andMe. Don't do the other one. They might find some serial killer or something like that related to you if you do Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
They sell your genetic information to the government.
23andMe is the way to go with that.
But I'm Dutch and German and Irish mostly.
See, I couldn't tell you where. I couldn't.
Right, because
tell you where.
He blocked it. I was trying to get it down to you, Lewis.
I've actually done some genealogy on myself, and I can tell you some of the components. And then there was one component, like my daughter had the 23andMe done, and it showed that she was like 0.02% Southeast Asian.
Well, because back in the day, the Taino tribes came across the Bering Land Bridge. I mean, we're basically everybody that's Native American or Eskimo or Central American is actually Asian.
Right, crossing the bridge.
Right. So, this is kind of my point, is throughout all of human history in every country, they've had all of these, it's all been just their races. Like it's, Africa, and it's Europeans, and it's Middle Easterners and Arabs and Chinese and Japanese and all that stuff. And there's this kind of settlement until human history decides that people want to move and we develop things and we stop killing each other and so on and so forth. But we have this migration into America. And really, in the 1900s, America becomes a country like no other. In fact, during our founding, all of the rest of the leaders in the world, when we wrote our Constitution, laughed at it. They laughed at it because they said there's no way that human beings can govern themselves. You have to have structure and people.
They were kind of true.
The grand experiment.
Right. Well, but they're not. There's a lot more to that, I think, but that's really what the laugh was. And then they also knew that the migration patterns into the United States and in North America were going to be massive because the founders didn't worry about the American dream in their lifetime. They were actually setting up legacies, which is what happens, what am I giving to my future, right? George Washington would never, ever see the country that he was building and developing, but he wanted to in his mind. He wanted this to exist. So everything he did was not for today, some human motivation there for today, but for the most part, he was thinking about the legacy of the United States going forward. But if you think about 1900 and what happens, we have this massive industrial revolution. American minds now start opening up the world to creation. We start developing things, railways, cars, energy, electricity, all these things that allow men to not have to worry about surviving.
Huh.
Because if you were in the 1850s, a good portion of your day was going to be spent, where am I going to get food, where am I going to get water, and how am I going to stay warm?
Right.
Right?
Can you hand me those? Because I don't want the Rev to get hangry on me. He's closest to me.
By the 1900s, we don't have that anymore. Like, we're developing systems that allow man to not have to concentrate on survival. But that had been done anywhere else in the world before.
Yeah, because that thirst for survival, that hunter and gathering, shortened your lifespan.
There's people in the 1500s that lived into their 90s all the time. It was actually based on resources.
Because if you look at some of these tribes of people that really have they pretty much stayed in their areas and they haven't been colonized or they haven't been conquered. Old age for them is 27.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't the normal. The human lifespan was actually just dictated more by the environment, and it wasn't dictated by the human's ability to survive to the age of 90. Because there's leaders, and really, how old you lived to be was dependent on how much money you had. So the more money you had, the more comfortable.
I want to get Scott's take in this whole thing on it.
I got to talk now too.
You got. I brought you in here to talk,
guys. We're kind of. It's kind of nice, Rev, having being on this side of the table with you. Right. I didn't know we were gonna segregate like this, but it's like these guys want to talk about history. We want to talk about current events.
Right.
And I'm so sick of going down the history lesson. I want to talk about what's going on now because the rear view mirror view doesn't change until you look in the windshield.
No, it actually does. So there is an old saying that the responsibility of a historian is to not know what was, but to know what is. And so I firmly believe in that. So history always relegates itself to the
problem
modern.
is, you would figure by the most advanced creatures on the planet that we know of, we would learn our lessons and we learn how to get along.
No, and here's why.
And we have not.
And I'll close this off, and we'll go to. Because I think now I have laid the foreground to my final.
I'm glad. To be honest with you, I'm glad you said what you said.
But I'm gonna lay out why we still have this issue in America, and real quick. So now we have the most diverse country on the face of the planet. We have races and cultures and stuff that none of us are really familiar with. In the modern context, it's really 100 years. It's nothing in the span of time. But we've created a culture that's ultra modern, never before seen for 2,000 years, 10,000 years ever in the history of the world. Think about it. In 100 years of free acting people changed the face of the planet. But what still existed in all of us? That damn gene that made us afraid of other people. My point is this.
That's right.
My point is this, that our culture has evolved faster than our human genealogy. We've forced ourselves to live amongst each other in a culture that's very advanced and where we don't have to go out and hunt for food and fish and subsist. We literally have to deal with each other. But inside all of us and inside you is this still internal fear of somebody that looks different than you. And it's not racism. I don't think we've evolved enough as human beings to eradicate ourselves of that gene.
See,
my thing is, I don't feel fear when I meet somebody. I'm looking forward to meeting somebody that I don't know.
Zero fear.
I know you guys all say that.
No,
but
there's
times.
No.
I'm a person that eats all different kind of foods. And people,
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about inherent fear.
But when the best way to meet people is to eat their food.
Oh, yeah.
I go into Asian grocery stores, and they're just glad to see me there.
Right.
Because they're glad to see somebody that likes their food and wants to learn a little bit about their culture and talk to them and stuff like that. They're anxious.
Let me ask you this. You're in the woods, and you're hunting, and you hear a crack.
Oh, well, that's different, Don.
No, because this gets...
He's going to take us down the boogeyman road.
No, that's different, Don.
No, this gets you down...
Don't take us down the boogeyman.
All I'm doing is I'm saying this is the proof that primal fear still exists. When you're in the woods, and you're alone, and you look, and you see another man off in the distance 100 yards away, your fear creeps right up in your body. That's the primal fear.
My fear is that fool's been drinking, and I'm out there hunting, and he's thinking I'm a squirrel or something.
It doesn't matter. If you say that you're not afraid of meeting anybody, that's a lie, because it's inside every human being, and that's just kind of the example of...
My fear is just getting shot.
Are you afraid?
Right.
Is it a matter of you're afraid of meeting people, or you are surprised that they're actually, in the scenario that you gave, that they're in the woods too?
No, I think there's a primal fear when human beings encounter other human beings in situations and circumstances that aren't comfortable and normal. And you can say, I don't have any fear of meeting anybody. Well, sure, who is when they're in the Asian grocery store?
We've gone past the primal, though, because it's hard coded in us to not be monogamous, but we're monogamous because our brains.
No, nobody's monogamous.
Oh my goodness!
Our brains have developed. Our brains have developed in such a way that we know that, and our culture has gotten to where.
Scott, get the divorce rate out in this country.
We're monogamous, but it's not.
We're not monogamous. That's not a fact.
It's not natural. Because
you know
what? I take that back.
Table this. We got to
take it back. Some animals mate for life.
Give me some. You got some numbers tonight?
Let me see. What was that number? 145. I think that's the number. The CEOs that band together to they want to. It's about the Second Amendment. They're following right behind Walmart. So what I did was I looked at my email. I was like, hey, there's an email from Dick's Sporting Goods. So. I just unsubscribed, and then where it says, why did you unsubscribe? I said, because you sided with 145 other CEOs. Click. Done. Don't send that stuff to me anymore.
Simple and easy. Well, Scott, you're a shooter, right?
Yeah.
You got. So all of this stuff that's going on with the Second Amendment and what everybody's getting afraid now, my understanding from reading some of the stuff that they feel that Trump is going to step on it.
How?
Yeah, I don't understand how.
How is he going to do it? Well, the chances of any of these bills passing through the Senate is what? 0 to none?
It's
0.
You think so?
Yeah.
Really? You don't think one of the Republicans will turn and they feel that guess what's going to happen, and I'm not going to be voted in next year because this wave of everybody wants to be on the gun side.
I don't think everybody wants to be on the gun side.
Do you know how obnoxious of an argument this is? I mean, that we're talking about Democrats saying they want to eradicate basically all guns.
That's right.
How in the hell do you do that for the love of God? Do they have a plan for that, or they just?
It's easy for them to say that because they're not going to be the ones going to the door.
Right. They say they're going to take them.
Right.
So,
they're going to take them.
So
every single gun, though.
They're going to try to take them.
Every single gun. They're going to assure us that every single gun is off the streets.
That's what they said.
That is absolutely. Isn't that obnoxious just at its face value that they're going to be able to do that?
But who has to take the guns from the people? What department are they going to use to go to everybody's door and take guns from people?
Your sheriff, I think.
All right. Now, how many people in the sheriff's department do you think actually want to go around and take everybody's guns?
We've had sheriffs just come out flat and say, I'm not going to enforce those laws.
Right. Yep. That's what I'm saying.
And that's the thing is that a presidential order does not dictate what the sheriff's office does. They run agnostic to what a presidential order is. So
Really?
My thing is like, so they say we're going to come and take your guns. I'm like, well, you in what army? What do you think I go to the range for? You think I go to the range just to punch holes in targets and learn how to protect myself?
Wait a minute. What was the ranchers that was out there?
Oh man, out in they had that.
What was it, Colorado? That they went. What was it, Colorado?
Well, no. Was it Colorado or was it Arizona?
Arizona.
I forgot what those guys' names.
Are you talking about the ones that
took over the wildlife center?
Yeah.
No.
So
I don't know where
I forgot that
so
name.
If they wanted to, ATF is them some bad people, right?
Yeah, those guys you don't want to mess with.
They don't mess around.
They don't mess around.
Right.
So if they want to come knock on your door, what's our chances of?
You know, I've been blessed enough to be around a lot of law enforcement.
Right.
Sheriff Stewart in Anoka, Sheriff Hutchinson right here in Hennepin County. You know, they are very, very pro Second Amendment, and it's for a reason. It is like what we all say. It is because we want the level playing field, right? We want to be level and even with the nasty people out doing no good. So, but here's
I like how you put that.
Is that the ATF? I understand, you know, there are some liberties taken, right, within law enforcement, and I have a feeling that you would see not a complete disbandment of it or a responsibility that they neglected to do, but I think that they would drag their feet as much as possible.
I don't think they'd even show up for work. I mean, you literally have to see. You can tell somebody to do it, but if they don't believe in it, they're not going to do it. That's the end of it.
And the thing is, they know that, okay, so I'm taking your guns away from you today. They're coming to take my guns away from me tomorrow.
Right. That's why this whole Second Amendment issue always ends up being an issue that it gets way too much airtime because I think we are naturally protective. We have the largest patriotic army on the face of the planet, and that's the patriotic.
But why is it getting airtime?
Because it creates political wedges. So it says I'm on this side, you're on this side, right? And so that's why politicians love it.
What Rahm Emanuel said when Obama took office was that we're never going to let any good crisis go to waste, and that's what every Democrat does. Well, they follow that narrative.
That's as old as politics, though. I mean, you know, Caesar was getting letters from his brother telling him how to win an election, and if you read the book, it's actually literally called How to Win an Election. It was written by Cicero's brother. And it says all of the same things that are still practiced in the American politics
and stuff like that.
Well, no, it says like promise everything to everybody, and then when you get elected,
deliver nothing
because because you get to say, well, I'm not the only person in government, so I have to get it's all of these things are as old as written human history and written human politics. That's why I tell people don't buy into it. These are old playbooks. This is nothing new under the sun.
When you get it constantly reinforced on when you look at articles where, you know, the Cory Booker, that clown from New Jersey.
I want my $10 back.
Uh-oh. What was that about?
When Cory first came out, I thought he was going to be a man of the people and do what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
I donated $10.
I wasn't getting Cory.
He's a man of Cory, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
I want my
$10. He's talking about he wants to take your arms, take all the firearms. I'm like, you know, that fans the flames,
right?
Yeah, because
that's why what that does
is that pisses guys like me off, and say, okay, Cory, come on and get some. Right. I got plenty.
Right.
You know, you sit there and say, and I'm not saying I have a large arsenal or I have a lot of ammo, but you see these. They say, hey, they broke into his house. The police went into his house and they took 20 shotguns and 3,000 rounds of ammo. 3,000 rounds of ammo is nothing.
Right.
You take classes where you shoot that almost that amount.
Who don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
When someone walks in the house and they got that much ammo, if they walked in certain people's homes right now, and they look down on the floor, they'll go, "Oh my God, what do you need all this here for?"
Right.
Now I got to look at them and go, why don't you need all this?
Exactly. I can go through 500, 600 rounds of ammo in the afternoon.
Right.
Yeah, not even get your finger warmed up.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, and these are the things that I think are great. These are the conversations I think that all our communities collectively as Americans that we can have with each other because we all share.
No, we can't have
this
this in the black community.
Why?
You can't have
Why?
this.
Because the brainwashing.
We're brainwashed. We're taught by the Democrats and the preachers, even though I'm a preacher, but I don't preach that, don't worry about it. This is what's going to take care of you. Okay.
Take care of myself.
You believe that?
See, and there's the problem, right? I mean, therein lies the problem is that, the black community has to stand up because you're never going to take all guns off the streets. I'm with you guys. You know what? Let's do this. Let's educate the people that have them for the love of God because it's a lot easier transition to make than ripping every gun from every law-abiding citizen.
Right. The problem is teaching the people who don't have them. That's the problem.
Can't get in there to teach.
When you talk to the people that have guns, you're speaking to the choir. When you're talking to people that have no concept of guns, they won't even think about having a gun.
Why?
They had a fit over a BB gun a couple of weeks ago.
But why do they have It's almost like a phobia. The people that are against guns, and I'm just stereotyping, they don't want to learn about it.
Why?
The minute you talk to them, say, hey, come up to the range with me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay, I go to the range. You're like my buddy. This is a different Tim. This is not you. Rev. He's always talking all that trash about cops. Only the cops in the Army should have guns and stuff like that. So I asked him to go to the range with me, or I asked him, well, you got a gun on the table and somebody's getting ready to hurt one of your kids. You wouldn't pick up that gun and kill him? Why you give me that question?
Right.
Yeah. No. I want. And he wouldn't answer it.
It's real life.
Yeah. Exactly.
It hits too close to home, and so people, if they dig a big enough hole, they think it's dark, even though they just stuck their head so far down that light can't get through.
So far up.
Or up. We thought we could be good on this show.
But the other argument is that people say, well, we're a modern society. We don't need armed and patriotic citizens anymore because the governments don't over. I'm like, are you guys walking around the world?
They just broke up a ring of kids running around beating people and assaulting people for cell phones, knocking people out.
I saw that video. It was atrocious.
So when these people run around here talking about let's take the guns, let's do this here, stop them first.
Right.
That's what I always say.
Right.
Stop them first before you come knocking on my door.
Yeah, it's all about the level playing field because I saw that footage and
I had to watch this. I haven't seen it.
Dude, it was like, it's kind of disgusting. And again, it has nothing to do with race. There's a racial element there, but that's not the issue. It was really a pack mentality.
It was a pack.
One guy.
Pack of animals.
Yeah, and
that's what that was.
Just some of the stuff they did to him, I'm like, okay, you already got his phone. He's already laying on the ground.
Leave him alone.
No. But so how does that pack act if there's more knowledge that everybody has a weapon and we're all equally respected, right? Then it's a different story. Then there isn't a pack.
That's right.
And you know what? Or if somebody that is armed comes up and just inserts themselves in the outer ring of that melee,
as an armed person.
How does that change things? It changes things dramatically. Dramatic? No, dramatically.
Yeah, but you always got
the new Scott word.
But you can always count on that one guy in the pack that says, well, you can only get so many of us. With your gun, I say, you want your mama to get a black dress?
Right.
I'll make sure I get you first.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're looking eye to eye, by the way.
Let's look at the mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can always tell who's the alpha male in those little packs that's running.
Uh-huh.
And now, do you guys feel this way? Here's the thing: is that us? I think all of us actually have permit to carry in this room, right?
Yep.
So here's the thing: I look at it as, boy, when I put my gun on, my responsibilities to society, to my family, to everybody else. Raise. I don't feel like I can just pop off at the mouth anymore. My hole got to be shut once in a while because I'm elevated to a different level when I am carrying a firearm.
You're held to a higher standard.
Exactly. And not only by the judicial system sometimes, but also just inherently you feel like, you know what, it's about having the power and not having to yield it because, power corrupts.
Yeah, exactly. The gun is supposed to always be your last resort.
Absolutely.
That's the tool of last resort.
Even my wife knows that.
Right. I always look at it. I look at it that way. And when I do carry, like you said, there's a different level that I feel that I'm on.
Right.
Total different level. I know that if something breaks out, I am to get away. That's my first thought.
Right.
And the only time that I ever really, like I say, feel like that if something breaks out, if I have my wife or my grandson with me, and somebody decides that they want to be stupid, I've got something with their name on it.
Yep. Right.
Because like I said, I'm not in the mood anymore to be talking about throwing bones.
No, because you're messing with my family.
You messing with my family. And you don't mess with my grandson, and you don't mess with my wife. That's off limit. You want to mess with me? Fine. I'll take it off and we can box a little bit. But when I'm with them, no.
And you don't always have the choice. And when you're carrying, I think there's a mutual respect, even with the people that want to be criminal, right? Then they're more selective and they're very particular. And there's definitely not a gang mentality that goes on when you're dealing with people that are openly carrying weapons.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of proves the we should always be armed. It does actually level the playing field for all of us. And the last thing you want to do is call the cops, because when do the cops come? When it's all over.
Oh, when it's all over.
Well, they don't even come. They barely even come anymore. No.
Minneapolis, they don't come.
They don't come. So, like I say, at the end of the day, when it comes to, like we was talking about, the way the black community see this whole gun argument and gun fight, we really don't have anything to do with this. I mean, we're really in the back seat. This is a suburban white woman versus a suburban white man's fight. That's what it is. They don't come to us and ask us for our advice.
Nope.
They don't add us in a lot of the fighting and a lot of the things that's going on right now. So we're sitting back going, okay, we just got to wait and see what they do.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Who's going to speak
so
loudest?
y'all feel like you're just a passenger on this?
We're just a passenger, man.
Okay, how do we affect change though?
Well,
how do you
we're
change
a passenger,
that?
but we're thrust in front when they want to make their point.
Right. Moms demand to run and get a picture from North Minneapolis real quick.
Yeah.
When they want to get their point across.
When they want to get their point across.
We got to save the children, and they put the black children in front of there.
But then at what point do you guys say, no, I'm not your propaganda?
Right.
That's just
we say it all the time.
Okay.
But the thing is, just trying to get somebody from the DFL to sit down and talk to us is a problem.
No, I bet.
We got one person scheduled that we're going to see this week.
Tomorrow,
yeah. We're going to speak with a senator from DFL. After trash talking them, she's the only person that stepped up and said, I'll talk to you.
So are you guys literally going to talk to this person and say, leave the Second Amendment issue alone?
Yeah.
Just walk away from it, because it's really not what our community wants? Because
nothing good comes out of gun bills when it comes to the black community.
Right.
They are racist. Now, you want to talk about something racist?
Right.
Those are racist.
Yeah,
they will look for a way to keep guns out of our hands.
Right.
There is no gun shops in North Minneapolis.
Really?
There's none in Minneapolis or St. Paul.
Really? Well, I did not know that.
So they're telling me, as a black man, that I can't even take care of my own self, that they have to take the guns out of the neighborhood, the gun shops and everything. But I can go somewhere else, a stone's throw. Boop, I hit a gun shop. Boop, I hit a gun shop.
Yep.
But there's none down there.
I never knew that.
That's the Democratic Party. That's what they do.
Yeah.
That's craziness.
Right?
Yeah,
So what you guys really need to do is open up a gun shop in
damn
Twin
right.
Cities.
Oh, what they do, they've zoned everybody out.
They zoned everybody
One of my friends was like the last gun store owner in Minneapolis, and Hodges zoned them out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's craziness.
But I definitely want to say this real quick, because I've got to give my son a shout out. I always, I brag up my kids big time, because I'm a proud father.
Yep.
And my son Jared, YouTube page.
Yeah, I just texted him when I was at work today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he put that together and did that. Well, he's used to it because he's used to doing rap videos.
And it's a professional job that he did.
I'm telling you, boy, that boy did me proud.
Are you talking about the YouTube video?
Yeah,
that was really nice.
Yeah,
I snuck
he
in
did
on
all
that.
the post-production on it.
Thank you.
Really?
That's
Syncing
really
up the
good.
voices,
Talented.
putting all this information
Put
in.
the information in. He did all that.
I felt like I was on ESPN or something
me
like that.
too,
When
man.
they got your name under there and everything. I'm like, I'll hit the big time now.
I'm sitting there on the couch watching this thing. My wife's looking at me going, what's wrong? I'm welting up in the eyes because I'm a proud father watching
That's
this,
my boy.
going, that's my boy right
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
He did me proud. My boy Jared did me proud. I tell you, that boy.
And see, so this is part of it. This is you setting up your life and accepting your life for what it is and where you're going to go, knowing that you're leaving your son something that's better than what you had.
Oh yeah, I say that all the time to my
Right.
boys. There's times they make me mad because I tell them I need you to do better than dad.
Right.
Better than that. I want you
Don't
better.
be me.
Don't be me. You
Right.
be better than that.
Right.
And I say it all the time. I got my other boy. He just left for California. He's got a modeling job out there. So he's going out there to get his headshots and all this here. I think he's modeling shoes for Nike. I think he's doing a Nike one.
Uh-oh.
So he's doing headshots for shoes.
What? Yeah, what the
Well, he's
heck?
doing, no, I'm sorry. He's getting his
So he's going to be a
headshot
foot model?
Okay, just
and then they were going to do
parlay that. I was like, that's weird. Is he going to put his head,
I don't know. Maybe it's like the
feet up behind his head or something? I don't know.
gymnastic shoes.
I tell you,
Golly.
there's days with y'all. Anyway, but no, I just had to throw that out.
So one of the things I know is I love the fact that we have more and more black people come into the range. I notice it, conceal and carry. I've been watching it over the last 5 years, and every time I see it, I was like, keep them coming.
Well,
So
that sounds like a deal.
Go get your conceal carry.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, again, I want to thank Scott and I want to thank Don for coming in here and sitting down with us and doing this here.
I am Louis Denard.
I am Reverend Christopher.
Thank you so much for listening. God bless you and peace.
We're out.